Welcome to the Asset Mindset Podcast, where we don't wait for opportunities, we create them. I'm your host, Daniel Fielding, former Green Beret, author of The Asset Mindset, a motivational speaker and life coach. But I want to take time today because we're coming up on 40 plus episodes, and we want to answer our listeners. We have questions that have come in through Spotify. You can actually send us a text. And today we are going to go over some of these questions that people have and our listeners about the asset mindset. Or if someone just wants to ask me a question about what's going on in their life, you can always reach out on a DM or any other way. You can go to theassetmindset.com. And please, definitely, if you go there, check out some of our gear. But today, let's get going with the first question.
All right, Daniel. First question comes from our Texas feature, and it's a pretty easy one. You should be able to hit a home run with this one. What does the asset mindset really mean in everyday life? And that's from Andy. So if you could address Andy and let him know.
Andy, thanks for that question. That is a great question. A lot of people, when they think of, the asset mindset, it's something that you just have maybe when you're facing a problem. But that's not really what the asset mindset is. And it's also not just about money and money assets. The asset mindset is a philosophy where you go through your life and you try and weigh everything. Is it an asset or a liability? You're going to take ownership of your life and realize, hey, am I being my own greatest asset? You have to have self-awareness. That self-awareness is so important for taking ownership of your life. So you're going to do that at home, in relationships, at work, just by yourself when you're going for a walk or before you go to bed. You always want to be assessing and realizing, hey, is this an asset for me? And when you take that philosophy for yourself and that ownership, you apply it then to people you work with, people that you live with, people that you surround yourself with, environments that you go into. Are they assets or liabilities? And then are you being an asset to other people out there in the world around you? Are you giving back? Are you being philanthropic? Are you doing acts of service? Are you being kind to others? You want to be an asset to others, small or large, either way, it doesn't matter. But when you walk around and live with the asset mindset philosophy, it is something that you do every minute of every day. Now, don't get me wrong, there's going to be struggles, and sometimes we need to turn the page and correct our path, but you will always have awareness, and you can always have the asset mindset, and of course, own your power.
All right. Next one comes from Rebecca. This one came from your Instagram. How did you personally develop the asset mindset philosophy?
Rebecca, thank you for that one. That's a great question. I get asked that occasionally when I'm on podcasts, and I'm the guest. But how did I come up with it? It's not something that just came up at one time. It's not something like, oh, poof, I have the asset mindset. It's growth. It's how did you get to be the person you are today? You've gone through a process in life where you've grown. So I like to use an analogy. When I was younger, I first got the asset mindset as an acorn seed from my dad. And it started to grow, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. I started seeing some life in this positive mindset philosophy and how it interacted with the world. Then I got involved in martial arts. Now I had a bigger tree and a sapling was coming out, and it started to get more and more noticeable, powerful. And then I joined the military and I became a Green Beret with amazing people, absolutely the best people in the world as far as a group that I've ever been around. And that turned me into what I'd say is a full-fledged oak tree with the asset mindset, realizing that this philosophy, these three things of, hey, I'm going to own my power and be my greatest asset. I'm going to surround myself with good people and good environments, and I'm going to be an asset to others, is an absolute recipe for success. And that is how the asset mindset developed.
Yeah, that's an awesome story, Daniel. Um, This one's coming again from Spotify. We got a lot of them from Spotify. What's the biggest mindset shift people struggle with when adopting this approach? And this one's from Tim.
Oh, this is a great one. I like this question because it's deep. When you first start trying to be more positive and have a positive mindset, we're creatures of habit. So we tend to fall back on whatever we're struggling with, whether it's anxiety, depression, negativity, going back to people that you probably shouldn't hang out with, or habits and going to the bar after work and drinking. Whatever it may be, when you are first making that shift, I think you really need to have self-awareness. Give yourself 10, 20 minutes a day and do a self-assessment. In the military, we do AARs, after action reviews. I think that's where people stumble up on the beginning is they just are on autopilot, or in the military, we say droning, and they just fall back into what they've always done. You don't want to do that. You need to have self-assessment, and I think that self-assessment time that you give yourself will make you be able to change and turn the page in your perspective and stay positive and stay owning your power.
Now, next one comes from Angela. How's the asset mindset different from traditional motivation culture?
Ooh, that's a good one. I've been asked that before too. So I think the asset mindset is different from traditional mindset culture is that it's all encompassing. It's a philosophy to live by. It's not just, ooh, think positive and be positive and everything's going to be okay. Like I've answered in earlier questions, you have to look at it at work. So the asset mindset philosophy can be used at work. It can be used on your goals. It can be used on working out. It can be used with friends, family, relationships. The asset mindset philosophy is all encompassing. It's almost like a code that you kind of live by. It's not something that you just do to feel good. You become an asset mindset individual that you apply this at every hour of your day. You are going to start thinking a certain way and being a certain way and applying this philosophy with your friends and family and at work. And it's incredible what it can do when you start using it all the time and you take it on as a lifestyle. It's not just something you do, it's something you live.
Why do most people default to a deficit mindset?
Oh, that's a good one. Why do people default to the deficit mindset? Because that's our brain and comfort zone programmed to be safe. Ooh, be scared of this, oh, I don't want to go exploring in the woods. It's dark, or, I don't want to go out and I could have a risk. If I go out in the ocean, maybe something could get me. And that is just psychologically, I believe, our mind trying to keep us safe. But only real growth comes from expanding your mind and getting out there. And it's one of those things that the more you do it, the easier it becomes. It'll never just be super easy. You're always going to challenge yourself. The further you go, the harder it is. Like, hey, running that first mile is tough. But then when you go to run 10 miles, ooh, that's hard. Ooh, but then you're going to go run a marathon. That's harder. So you don't really get in a situation where life necessarily gets easier. You just get stronger. And the more you do, the stronger you get. And that is growth.
All right, next one comes from our Facebook page. What's the first habit someone should change to think like an asset?
First habit to change. I would say get moving. Go for a walk, do exercise. If you're already doing that stuff, great. Then now move on to goal setting and finding your purpose and your passion. But to really get started, if you're starting from ground zero, get out there, get moving. 20, 30 minutes a day at a minimum. Get out there and do something. Get your blood flowing. You start moving and you start creating. You start moving, you start feeling better. Your blood flows through your body. It's going to make everything work better. So that would be the first thing I would tell anybody to do is to get out there and move.
Is confidence required before adopting the asset mindset? I don't have any and I struggle with it daily.
Oh, confidence. Yes. Confidence is something that you have to build. You don't just be born with it. You have to work at it. The first time you walked as a child, you probably weren't very confident or very successful. You probably fell down, right? But you get back up and you do it again and you do it again and you do it again. And I'm guessing right now you're walking around in life and you're doing okay and you're confident with walking. So confidence is something that you have to build and you have to push yourself. Don't let fear control you. Fear is false expectations appearing real. You're projecting something that hasn't even really happened in the future. You need, yes, a little bit of fear in life, but don't let fear control you. Fear gives you an opportunity to be brave and to be courageous. And you can't be brave or courageous without fear. So work on your confidence and just start doing it. I had a guest on the show, a buddy of mine, Travis, and was like, screw it, just do it. And that mentality, if applied appropriately, can do amazing things. So just screw it and just do it and get out there, make stuff happen.
All right. All right, Daniel, we got our first negative one. So
Ooh.
buckle in. We got a skeptic.
Bring
Uh,
it, thick skin. We'll talk about that in the asset mindset.
I don't buy into it, but how do you explain the asset mindset to someone like me who's skeptical?
You don't buy into it, then I don't think you've really tried it. It's like someone that is saying, "Ooh, I don't like that meal," or a kid, "Oh, I don't like this dinner," and you haven't really tasted it. And I think if you tasted it, you'd realize the ingredients are real ingredients. They're true. It's not some ultra processed, spun up fake thing. The truth is the truth. You can call it the asset mindset. You can call it growth mindset. You can call it a lot of different things. But I've taken the asset mindset and used that because I think people don't realize they are their greatest asset. And you might be struggling with that. You don't realize how powerful you are, or you don't realize the people around you are maybe bringing you down and you need to surround yourself with more positive people. That's going to take some self assessment. And also, are you being an asset to others? Because if you're not being an asset to others or you're not being a kind or good person, guess what? Nobody's going to want to be around you. Your negativity is going to create negativity there and the feedback loop, and you're going to be in a downward spiral. So what the asset mindset is for you is to change that. Instead of creating a downward spiral, you want to have a flywheel effect where the more positive comes in, it starts spinning faster and then you're feeling better. So then you act better and then people around you feel better, which make you feel better. And then that keeps growing and growing and growing. That's what you need to do. And you need to own your power and stop making excuses.
It's actually a perfect segue to the next question, Daniel. Explain what you mean by own your power.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, I say that a lot. And I want people to understand you're a creator. You can create the life that you live. You're not a rock. You're not a tree. You can get up and move. If you don't like your situation, do something about it. You have that power. You want to learn something? Go study it. You have that power. You want to be fit or healthier? Guess what? You have that power. You can go to the gym. You have all these things that you can do. And that's what I'm trying to teach people with the asset mindset. And that's what you need to do. And that's why I constantly say, own your power.
What does true self ownership look like in practice?
Oh, that's a good one. I even work with that one all the time. Self ownership is when you got to hold yourself accountable. Don't make excuses. Oh, I didn't get, 10,000 likes on this. Well, I could ig- ignore different factors that maybe I did, or I could be using excuses and saying, oh, this happened or that happened. Extreme ownership and having ownership of yourself is realizing, like, I am the one that contributes the most to my life. I am the one that has to take responsibility and ownership. I actually had a video go viral a little bit talking about ownership with pets because a lot of people know what pet ownership is. You have pets, Denny. You got to take the dogs out, let them go to the
Oh,
bathroom. You got
yeah.
to feed and water them. You got to take them to the vet. Every day you got to let that dog out. Every day you got to feed that dog. Well, guess what? With your own life and taking ownership and accountability, you have to do that every day. Most people don't do that. Do you work every day on your goal or your dream, or do you work at just getting through the day? Oh, I'm going to go to work, make some money, and come home, and then I'm going to sit on the couch because I need to decompress. All right. I'm not saying don't take breaks, but if every day you are not doing something to make yourself better, to grow, or to push yourself, or get out of your comfort zone, then you are failing yourself. You need to take the ownership. And when I talk about ownership, that's what I mean, daily work and owning your power.
That's great. I love that. Such a great mission statement. All right, next one comes from Lydia. Why do people resist taking ownership of their lives?
It's the easy way out. It makes you feel safe or like, "Ooh, things aren't in my control. I'm a victim." It's easy to have victim mentality because then you get to blame everybody else and point fingers. But you really need to look in the mirror and understand that I'm the one that's really in charge. Those other people can't make you eat a good meal or good food. Those other people can't make you go to the gym. You have to go to the gym. So it's very easy for people just to make excuses and not take accountability and scapegoat, do all the things that put the power outside of themselves rather than inside themselves. And I've even come across people in faith where they've talked about, well, God's in control, God's in control. Yeah, God is in control. He is. Absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. But you know what? God feeds all the animals, but he doesn't put the food right there in front of them so they never have to go anywhere or do anything. That squirrel needs to get out of his nest, climb down and search for the acorn. That bird needs to fly out there if it's a fly catcher and catch the flies that are in the air. You need to do that too. You need to own your power. You need to get out there and do the work.
Absolutely, man. This is coming from Chris. He's got actually a couple on here. I think Chris is going through a rough patch. His first question is, what's the fastest way that I can regain control of my life? I am in chaos right now.
I think the fastest way is to give yourself some time, Chris. Give yourself grace too. I think grace is important. You need to understand that everybody struggles. I'm going to use something that recently just came across in one of my own growth things. You ever see a tree, right? Say a nice oak tree. I used an oak tree earlier. We'll use that again. Chris, you look at an oak tree in the summertime, it's full of green leaves. You look at it in the winter, it looks dead, right? Everybody has seasons. That tree is alive in summer, that tree is alive in winter. And it's just a difference in time and a different season. Right now, you could be in the winter season. You feel very cold, you're struggling, you're not blooming and all the nice leaves out there, but give yourself time, give yourself grace. You do that and focus on yourself and realize, all right, where do I want to be in summer? What do I want to create? How do I want to grow? Do you want to grow this way or that way? That's what you need to be focused on. Don't get stuck where you are right now. See where you're going.
Here's another one. Can self ownership coexist with grace and self compassion? That's deep.
Absolutely. Why couldn't it? How can we have day and night? How can we have snow and rain and all these things in the world? So many variables. You can take ownership, but maybe you have to own your compassion. You need to own your grace. Like, you know what? I messed up. I answered too quick to my kid and told them no. And I probably should have explained why we can't do something. And we're going to work on it for next week or tomorrow. Or just give yourself grace if you had a customer and you didn't answer their question properly, or you didn't respond to an email because you got sidetracked and you were working on something else. So ownership can be towards grace. They can coexist. And I believe 100% they do coexist. So don't think the world is so rigid that you cannot have this happen and that happen. Something good can come from something bad. I think we've all seen that and experienced it in life.
Okay. Next one is also from Chris. Um, how can I identify that I have any positive traits? All I see are weaknesses.
Ooh, sounds like you're beating yourself up a lot, Chris. I would say one of the things right now is you're sending a question. You're reaching out. That is growth. That is a positive. I want you to do a pro and cons list on things that you do in your day and start really looking at what you're doing. If you're listening to this podcast, You know what? You're trying to grow. You're working on yourself. That is a positive. So turn the page in your head. Don't get stuck reading that same negativity. Like, oh, I'm not good at whatever, spelling. Oh, I suck at spelling. I suck at spelling. Every time I try and do something or work on this, I'm always messing up the spelling. People make fun of me or whatever. Turn the page. Look at, hey, I'm creative. I'm outgoing. I'm sending messages out there on Spotify and trying to get answers so I can improve my life and have a better mindset so I can grow and be a better person. You have positive things. So my biggest thing for you is, if you haven't read The Asset Mindset, obviously read it, and then look into and definitely go over the chapter about being a page master. Because I think for you, what I'm getting and coming through in your questions is that you need to learn to be a page master. You're reading the bad thing and negative thing that happened in life. And guess what? You're not alone. Every single human being has bad, negative things happen in life. It's what you do afterwards. So turn the page to something positive. You know, I talk about in that chapter losing my dad. That's a horrible thing, losing the dad that died unexpectedly, especially if you're close. But then I was able to turn the page, and how lucky was I to have him for the years that I did? How lucky was I to have him that we had a good relationship? How lucky was I that he told me he loved me? So you can always find that old cliche, there's a silver lining in every cloud. So you can do it. Keep reframing and rethinking and be a page master. And I guarantee you'll start to see things change, and you'll start to see things in a much more asset mindset.
This was coming from Dylan. Can over focusing on my strengths create blind spots?
Ooh, I think it can. And that's why it's good to have mentors. You do want to
Mm.
focus on your strengths, but if all you look at is what you're good at, then you're not really expanding. You're not getting out of your comfort zone, because it's comfortable to do things that you're good at. Let's get into using an athlete analogy. If you're a running back and you just love a draw play and give me the ball and I'm going to run up the middle and blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, now I want you to run out here, but I'm going to throw you the ball and you need to catch. Ooh, well, I'm not best with my hands. Well, you know what? That running back is never going to grow and never going to be a professional if he can't roll out and catch a ball too. So you need to expand from your strengths. I love that you got strengths. On a team, if I want to get into special forces stuff and the mentality, when I was on a team, if I did something good on an objective, or even in training for that matter, we're going through the house, I blew the charge, and nobody's going to be like, oh, let's talk about how good that was. No, they're going to talk about, hey, we didn't clear this corner right. Or Dan, you flagged me one time. I didn't like that. It made me feel uncomfortable. Oh, okay. We work on the things that we're weak at. So definitely don't focus too much on your strengths. Acknowledge them, use them when appropriate. They're a tool in your toolbox. But if you want more tools in your toolbox, you got to work on your weaknesses too.
Coach Andy asks, how can I build the asset mindset into my players?
Oh, first thing, give each one of them a copy of the book. But I would say you need to build teamwork, and you need to build the ownership, because they have to own that part of the team. They have to own that position, and tell them that. Like, hey, we're all here as a team, but you're the left tackle. You need to own that position for everybody else. And hey, you're the wide receiver. You need to own catching that ball for everybody else. And you need to understand that they are all part of a whole, kind of like how the human body works together. You got the heart, the lungs, the brain, your muscles, the skeleton, which is, they say the line is the backbone of the football team. I think you need to use some analogies. And I think if you take ownership to your team, have them realize working together, they're more powerful. They need to be surrounding themselves with good people. And your football team will be a lot better off. And I'm pretty sure their skills are going to improve, because I know when I was on a team, I had guys, and I'm not talking football team, which I did play football in high school. But when I was on a team with an ODA, guess what? I was never in better shape. I never worked harder. I never ran longer, all because of the people around me and understanding I needed to take ownership for my position on that team and the people I was with. and they help me be a better me. And I know you can help your players be better players. So own the power, and please don't hesitate to reach out again.
I don't think this is the same Chris, different Chris. We'll call him Christopher. Yeah, this one's from Instagram. Why is discipline more important than motivation?
Oh, that's an easy one because motivation is easy and discipline is hard. Motivation is fleeting. You watch a movie, you get all excited and pumped up. You read a book, you talk to somebody, you see a TV episode or whatever. You're like, yeah, you get all this adrenaline, you want to do it. But that's a temporary thing. Motivation, yeah, you want it to last. But let's be honest, when you're not feeling good or you're tired or you had a rough day, or maybe it's just wintertime and there isn't as many hours of sunlight and you're down, discipline is the glue that's going to keep you and your dreams together and working on it every day, every day, every day. No matter what, you're tired, you're going to do something every day. Discipline is the thing that sets people apart because everybody gets tired. Everybody has problems. Everybody struggles. But the people with discipline, they show up anyways. They do the work anyways. And that's what you need discipline for. And when you apply that in your life, you're going to do things anyways that other people will not do. And that's going to set you apart from other people. Because ordinary people, nothing wrong with them. They're ordinary. But being extraordinary is just that little extra, an extraordinary type deal, little play on words. But that is the discipline.
I wanna see if you can expand on that for the rest of the audience, Daniel. You know, motivation and discipline often are a little more difficult when you get older. Uh, how would you, address our older demographic of how they can build that discipline when, maybe a couple of extra pounds have been packed on, they're in mid to late 40s. How can they build that discipline again when the motivation's not really there?
That's a great question. I think the first thing you need to do is find your why you want to
Mm,
change and what's going on. But I think one of the other things when you're older, you use that as an excuse. Right now, I can
yeah.
say that like, oh, I'm 50. Oh, you know what? Today at 50 something, I am the youngest I'm going to be for the rest of my life. I love sharing that with people. My wife gets aggravated with me sometimes when I do this, but it's true. When you were 20 years old, you were looking at like, oh, 10-year-old, oh, they're so young. And then you turn 30 and you're like, man, 20 was young. I wasn't even 21 yet, couldn't go out, couldn't go to clubs or do whatever. Then you're 40 and you're like, oh man, where I wouldn't be to be 30 again. So understand where you're at. You're at a starting point. You are at a point that you're going to be the youngest you are for the rest of your life. You may not be the fittest you are at the moment, but you can grow and change. And as long as you're alive and breathing, you can change and you can grow. But understand where you are in this moment, the now, you are in control and you can set the destination that you want to go to. Like if you want to be fit, well, guess what? Start doing what fit people do. You're not going
Mm,
to be fit overnight, but you know the things that they're doing. Start doing them. If you want to be a musician and pick up an instrument later on in life, well, what do? They play instruments. They just play. So start doing it. Start moving. And I want you to think of it as when you start something, it's hard in the beginning. I want you to think, building a snowball or doing whatever, when you first get it, it doesn't seem like much is happening, but the more you roll it, the more you push it, the bigger it gets and it compounds and compounds and before you know it, you have this giant monstrosity. Or before you know it, you've lost 10, 15, 20 pounds or more. Before you know it, instead of, man, I struggled to run a mile, you're now running 5, 10 miles or more. So
yeah.
just start and don't understand it's not too late. There's so much science out there right now that at any age you can grow muscle. At any age you can change the neuroplasticity in your brain. So just do the work. And here I go with the cliche again, own your power. Do it.
Yeah, that's such a great great segue to this next one, Daniel. David wants to know: do you ever take clients for one-on-one coaching?
Yes. I do take clients for one-on-one coaching. Absolutely. If anybody's interested, you can go to theassetmindset.com, reach out to me. And if there's slots available and I have the time and you're serious, that's one of the things I want because you have to be serious. I don't want someone that's going to be coached that's not going to show up for a meeting or is not going to be accountable. It's very important. So the answer to your question is yes, I do.
Nice. Hey, Daniel, do you have anybody like a start guide or somebody that can help like chart them on the right path, like a digital product or anything?
Yes, if you go to the website, I actually have workbooks now. So I wrote the asset mindset, and it's helped a lot of people, and people are understanding the concept. But understanding a concept is a lot harder to put into reality. Like I can explain to you how to ride a bike until you get on the bike and actually start working with it and doing the exercises and learning your balance. That's a whole nother story. So that's where the asset mindset and the mindset method workbooks came about. So if you go to the assetmindset.com, you'll see there's two different workbooks. There's a regular workbook and then there's the advanced workbook for serious people. So the regular standard workbook, that is a month. And if you do want to do the advanced and you feel like you're growing and you're up for the challenge, there's a 8-week course with the advanced workbook. And if you're wondering, hey, is this for me? I have a sample workbook on the page too that you can get and download. It's all PDFs and it's been life changing because I'll tell you the questions and the exercises in there are very stimulating mentally. They're very good at self assessment because we all have a hard time sometimes looking around our life and assessing things. And I've designed the workbook to help you do that.
Yeah, that's gotta be it. Super easy and powerful. Again, Daniel, where can they go to get that?
Theassetmindset.com has all that. You
And
go on to products and you can find the workbooks on there. And there's also links to get the actual book. And a little hint, there will be another book coming out at some point. So I wanted to get the workbook done before the work. Correction. I wanted to get the workbooks done before I got the next book and the sequel to the asset mindset out.
a little reminder to everybody listening: if you go to episode description, all those links will be right there. Daniel, we got a couple more questions. How can leaders apply the asset mindset in the corporate environment? Ooh,
Oh, that's a great question. And I love this question because I've seen it happen. So I've done some corporate speaking gigs and they've really been impactful for people because people get stuck in the rut. They get stuck in a routine. And I come in and I share with them the asset mindset philosophy. Or if you're a leader and you're out there in corporate America and you just want to share the book or share the mindset themselves, it changes the dynamic. People don't feel like they're a victim in the system or just a number or just an employee. They start taking ownership of the whole. They start taking ownership of themselves. They start doing this at home. And guess what? You have a good home, you bring it to work. You have good work, you bring that goodness home. The good energy continues. If you have a bad work situation, guess what? You can bring that energy home and vice versa. So having the asset mindset philosophy where you address this in all aspects of your life, business, partners, networking, being an asset to others, learning win-win situations. Something bad happens on a business deal or something happens with sales and things fall through. You don't get stuck on that negative. You turn the page and, hey, what can we learn from this? What is a pro from this whole thing that went down? How can we apply this and be better next time? It changes the whole dynamic of corporations, sales teams, and they really view things different. And it empowers them to make change, to work together, and realize they're in more control than they ever thought they were.
and absolutely. Well, that's all the questions we got for today. We got to save some for the next one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate all the questions. I got the best fans, the best asset mindset teammates. I really do. I've had some incredible guests on the show that have been asset mindset teammates, people that are reaching out that we talk to on DMs. I just can't thank you enough because you all are a big part of the fire in me to share this. This is why I'm out here. This is why I do what I do. And I couldn't do it without you and your fire and motivation. I think God's got a plan for this asset mindset philosophy and just the asset mindset as a whole to really spread out the world and help people. Because this was not my plan originally, but it's working. It's changing things. It's changing people's lives. And I'm so grateful and I'm so humbled to all of you that help make this happen. And I'm grateful for all of you that share this with others, because that's been an even more powerful thing is when people tell me that they've shared the asset mindset after it's helped them and they've helped other people. So it's growing. Like I talked earlier about the snowball effect, and it's building and building. So thank you again, all of you, for listening. Thank you for your likes, subscribes, all the shares when you send this out to other people. We're doing positive work. And as we know, it costs nothing to like, subscribe, and share. It just sends some positive energy out there and helps put some positive juice in the algorithm. So thank you again for being with the Asset Mindset Podcast. Thank you for being an Asset Mindset teammate. Thank you for all your questions. And of course, own your power.